In the heart of an ancient city, where the streets bustled with traders, beggars, and nobles, lived a boy named Aaron. Unlike other children who ran around shouting and playing, Aaron was remarkably silent. Not because he couldn't speak, he simply chose not to. People in his village whispered about him. Some thought he was strange, others believed he was wise beyond his years. His mother, a humble woman who worked as a weaver, often worried. "Why don't you speak, my son?" she would ask. Aaron only smiled and continued his work, helping her weave beautiful fabrics that caught the eyes of many nobles. One day, an old sage who was passing through the city stopped at their small hut. He watched Aaron work in silence, his hands moving skillfully, his eyes sharp and observant. "You have a rare gift, child," the sage said. "You listen more than you speak. That is a powerful skill." Aaron merely nodded, but his mother pressed on. "Sage, can you tell me if my son is cursed or blessed?" The sage chuckled. "A man who speaks less hears more. A man who listens understands. And a man who understands rules. Your son is not cursed. He is destined for great things." Aaron absorbed the words, but still, he remained silent. As Aaron grew, so did his reputation. He was quick to notice things others missed. When merchants tried to cheat his mother by reducing the price of her fine cloth, Aaron simply raised an eyebrow. The merchants, uncomfortable under his sharp gaze, always ended up paying a fair price. One day, a wealthy merchant named Raghav came to their house. He had heard about Aaron's intelligence and wanted to test him. "Boy, I have a challenge for you," Raghav said, placing 3 locked chests on the table. One contains gold, one contains stones, and one is empty. You may ask me only one question, but you must choose the right chest. The villagers gathered, whispering excitedly. How could Aaron know which chest held the gold with just one question? Aaron studied the merchant carefully, then finally spoke for the first time in years. "If I were to choose a chest right now, would you be happy with my choice?" Raghav hesitated for a fraction of a second before smiling. "Ah, clever boy." Aaron watched the way Raghav's eyes flickered toward the middle chest. He silently opened it. Inside lay heaps of gold. The crowd gasped. Raghav laughed, impressed. "You are sharper than I thought. Keep using your silence wisely, and you will go far." Aaron merely nodded, his silence speaking louder than words. Word of Aaron's wisdom spread far, eventually reaching the ears of the king himself. He summoned Aaron to the palace, curious about the boy who rarely spoke but always succeeded. "I have 3 ministers," the king said, gesturing toward 3 men standing before him. "One of them is loyal. One is a traitor. One is a coward. If you can identify them, I will reward you greatly." The court fell silent. The ministers, proud and confident, smirked at Aaron. The boy did not ask any questions. Instead, he simply observed. He watched their hands, their feet, their expressions. Finally, he took a cup of water and set it in front of the first minister. The minister grabbed it and drank immediately. Aaron shook his head. "This man is the coward," he finally said. "He acts out of desperation, not wisdom." The court murmured. Aaron then walked up to the second minister and pretended to whisper something. The minister flinched. "This man is the traitor," Aaron declared. "Only a man with guilt in his heart reacts before words are even spoken." That left only the third minister. Aaron bowed slightly. "This man is loyal." The king was astonished. He had tested these ministers for months, but this boy had identified them in minutes, without asking a single question. "You are remarkable," the king said. "What is your secret?" Aaron smiled but did not answer. The king laughed. "Very well. From this day forward, you shall be my most trusted advisor." And so, the silent boy, became the king's most powerful ally. Years passed, and Aaron's wisdom guided the kingdom to prosperity. He remained silent most of the time, but when he did speak, every word was invaluable. One day, an enemy kingdom prepared for war. The king asked Aaron for advice. Aaron simply wrote 3 words on a piece of paper: "Be silent, wait." The king trusted him and did nothing. A week later, the enemy kingdom collapsed from internal rebellion. Without raising a single sword, they had won the war. The king turned to Aaron. "You have given me everything without speaking much. Tell me, what do you want as your reward?" Aaron smiled. "Nothing, Your Majesty. I already have everything." And with that, he continued his silent journey, proving that true power lies not in loud words, but in quiet wisdom. Silence is not weakness. Those who listen, observe, and act wisely will always achieve more than those who speak without thought.